Hi everyone, welcome to the Pro Conference. Today, on the last session of the day, we've got Katie who's going to be doing her session on Imposter Syndrome, moving forward with confidence. So, Katie, I will hand over to you.
Thank you so much. And it is so lovely to be at the photography show. I've been coming to the photography show for years and years and years. So to actually be speaking live in these crazy times is really amazing. So I'm really thrilled. And also to be the last session of the day, I want to make sure that everybody leaves today on a high, motivated, and really confident. So just a little bit about me before I start. So I'm Katie Teasdale-Wars and I run a coaching company called Kudosity. But in addition to that, I also have a PR and marketing business that is within the photography industry. And I, over the years, have worked in photographic, in sales, in marketing, in PR. I've worked with Fujifilm in-house for 6 years. I've worked with Nikon. I work with the Pink Lady Food Photographer of the Year competition. So photography sort of runs through my veins, and I am passionate about the industry and the people within it. So the reason that I'm here is to talk about imposter syndrome, and it's something that I think lots of us have heard. It's a term that kind of you hear much more now as something that people feel that they are suffering from. Oh, and one thing that I forgot to say, sorry, at the beginning was if there are any questions that you have, please do use the chat facility and I will try and answer them right at the end of the session. So that way I can focus on what I'm saying to you guys. So what is imposter syndrome? Well, imposter syndrome really it's a belief. It's something that you feel, and it's a belief that you don't deserve the success that you have. It's a feeling that you don't believe. It's a feeling that you don't, that you haven't earned your position, whether that's as a photographer or somebody in a company. It's a real fundamental belief that you don't actually deserve the success and the accolades that you have. And it is something that manifests itself in lots of different ways. But it is that feeling within you that pretty much you're going to be caught out, that somebody is going to bust you, that it is somebody is going to find out that actually you're not as good as you thought that you were, or that somebody is just going to tap you on the shoulder and say, your time's up, you've done really well, but now it's time to move on. And there would be a part of you within you that would go, actually, yes, of course, why not? So we're going to go through what imposter syndrome is, how it manifests itself and how it can affect you. And then we're going to talk about real strategies as to how you overcome it, so that at the end of this session, you will feel able to recognize, identify what it is, and be able to move throughout 2021 in a much more confident mindset and be able to navigate this year with clarity and with confidence. So we've talked about what imposter syndrome actually is. And it's kind of amazing when you look and explore this subject more, you find that there are so many people, very, very famous people, people that are at the top of their fields of expertise, who over the years have admitted, yeah, I've suffered from imposter syndrome. People like Einstein, people like Angela Mayo, and there are CEOs of global companies who, in their TED Talks or their corporate speeches, will be talking about how much that imposter syndrome has affected them. And you're like, oh, okay. So it's not something that is an abstract concept. It's not something that you just go, oh, well, this is only happening to me. It is something that happens to just about anyone over the course of their lives. So it's not a male thing, it's not a woman thing, it's not an extrovert thing, it's not an introvert thing, it's a human thing. So that's why it's really important, I believe, that people take time to explore it, take time to understand it, and also then take time to navigate their way through it. So that's kind of what it is and who is affected by. So why is it important that we understand it? Well, because there are times when you will be in front of a client or a customer where you want to be able to talk to that person in confidence, and you want that person to equally have confidence in you. So we talk about imposter syndrome as something that can happen kind of on a day-to-day basis, but also in in the field of careers. And just to give you kind of an example from this morning, how it affected me. So I'm looking through all the socials and seeing what all the other amazing speakers are doing on social media and what they're doing at the show. And I can see some really fantastic, creative, really whiz bang wallop kind of social graphics going on. And you've got all things that are integrated. And I'm just thinking, oh my goodness, right, I need to know how to do a reel. Of course I do, the morning of the show before I'm about to talk, whatever. So I'm sat on the stairs and I'm spending about 20 minutes just trying to work out how to make a really cool creative reel about telling people what I'm going to be talking about at the photography show. And because I felt that I wasn't in the same kind of field as everyone else. And therefore I needed to kind of see what everybody else is doing, and crikey, well, if they're doing that, then maybe I should too. And is it going to look less professional if I just do the thing that I want to do? Well, the truth is that, the 20 minutes trying to learn how to do a reel was insightful. Was it me, or was it going to help share the ideas that we're going to talk about today? Not really. Did it sit comfortably with me, as in, was it something that felt right for me? Well, 20 minutes down the line, no, I had to do something that I knew I could do, that I knew that worked, and that I knew was going to work within the parameters of what was going to make me feel comfortable and not put me in kind of a stressful situation where I've only got a few hours between doing that and this. No. But that's how imposter syndrome can come along on these daily basis. And it feels really, you feel really exposed. And when we talk about how imposter syndrome makes you feel, and that whole belief, it does actually have, a physical effect. You can start to feel anxious, and you can start to feel like you don't want to actually move forward. And these are have to be these are serious steps that you need to kind of look at, certainly as a photographer, as somebody in business, or just somebody at just navigating life. And as I was thinking about how the imposter syndrome has kind of affected me, I mentioned before that I worked in-house for Fujifilm for 6 years as their PR manager. And I remember for the first year at least, feeling like I was an imposter, feeling like any minute now somebody was going to turn around and say, look, it's great that you know so many people, and it's great that you're fun to have in the office, but we really need somebody now who knows how to do the job, and we need somebody who's going to, really work in a professional and, a really a different way to how I was working. Now, you could say, well, that's just sometimes feels how you feel, but the imposter syndrome was something that I physically felt every day. So I would almost go into work going, right, well, okay, it's going to happen today. And it got to a stage where I was just thinking, is it going to happen? And you can go through sort of appraisals, and you're there kind of waiting. Well, this is when it's going to happen. This is when they're going to say thank you, and we're now going to get somebody in who knows how to do the job. It's only after you start to put the techniques that I'm going to talk about later into everyday kind of situations where you are reminding yourself and actually documenting the times when it's not something that it's not, you didn't get the job through luck, you didn't get the job through knowing someone who knew someone who knew someone. Things happen to you throughout your career, throughout your life, based on who you are, what you do, and those kind of accolades and those experiences that you know, for want of a different word, chalk up throughout your life. And sometimes it really needs to have a period where you sit down and reflect and go, actually, what is PR, for example, you know, and drill it down to, it's not just about knowing people, it's not just about, you know, product launches, it's not just about this, it's this and this. And every person has some sector of their life where they can say, actually, that was my skill base, that was my time when I was able to bring my experience, my expertise, my knowledge, and my unique skill set, which made that happen. So that is really important to recognize when those times that creep up, what it is, how to overcome it. So excuse me while I just have one little sip of water. Thank you. So when we were thinking about the photography show and all the photographers that I know and the industry that I've known and worked in for such a long time, I was thinking about how I've seen imposter syndrome creep up throughout the different sectors and in different occasions, and how for photographers who, well, as we all have felt, are coming out of 2020 and feeling, you know, feeling quite bruised, feeling quite battered, but they also want to move into this year with, you know, spring shoots, with optimism and with confidence. So I've been thinking about specific areas that photographers can really think about how imposter syndrome comes along and how to overcome it. One of the ways that I thought when I think I was looking at some of the product launches is I've noticed with photography friends, they will love the new kit and they're like, yeah, definitely, you know, this is the new camera, this is the new lens, this is what I'm going to take. And they get so excited, and then all of a sudden there is this light that goes on and go, well, actually, I'm not a serious photographer, or I'm not a professional photographer, or I don't do it for a career. So do I really need to have, you know, the latest camera? Do I need to make that investment of the latest lens? Do I need to invest even more in my kit? Because will I be found out? Well, do I deserve to have that kit? Do I deserve to have these things that people might then turn around to me and say, oh, you've got that camera, or you are, you know, I've seen you shooting that landscape with that other photographer or whatever, you must be, you know, really serious, or I've seen you at a wedding, shooting a wedding, you must be a professional photographer. And there has been sort of a wave from people just going, I don't know if I deserve to be called a professional photographer. I don't know if I deserve to have that kit. I don't know if I deserve to be upgrading, because what if somebody asks me if I'm a professional photographer and I then have to say I am? Or it's fascinating, really, because as an industry, we want everybody to be in photography. We want everybody to be invested, not just in the kit, but into going to shows like the photography show, being interested in going on photography tours when we all can, sharing knowledge, sharing our understanding and our passion for photography. But sometimes when people turn around and say, well, that's, it's not a case of somebody saying, oh, you're being a bit, kind of full of yourself or a bit too confident. This is not what imposter syndrome is about. Imposter syndrome is being able to say, yes, I can have that kit. I deserve that kit. I need that kit for my job. So that was kind of one of the things that I thought about, certainly in keeping with the photography show and kit and techniques and things like that. The other thing I thought was when we are pitching for business. So this year, when we are going to clients and potential customers, potential clients, we want that client to be able to look at us and have confidence in our business and in confidence in not only what and how we shoot, but that we are able to, if a client potentially says to us, we need to, we want to do this, this, and this, that you would have the confidence to be able to say, actually, I don't think that would work. Let's think about shooting it like this. Or we could do it that way, but I think the results that we would get from shooting it like this or a different creative treatment would really be drilling into your brief. Now, if you are feeling like you are really with imposter syndrome, it's very, very difficult, nigh on impossible, to be able to have those conversations, because you will instantly be feeling that you can't bring your ideas to the table because those ideas aren't worthy. You only got this gig because you knew someone. You only got this gig because they're local. You only got this gig because. And it's important to recognize these times when they come along and say, I will have confidence that I know what I'm doing and I am the right person for the job, and I can have a clear and frank discussion with a customer, with a client. I can talk about my rates clearly and with confidence because I know that I deserve those rates. And that's kind of really important as well. The other thing I think with moving forward in a kind of a post-COVID photography world is that certainly with the help of things like the photography show, if you're considering retraining as going maybe from a portrait photographer and you want to become a wedding photographer or whatever it is, or you want to learn about drone, or you want to do something within that, and you want to be able to tool up essentially as a photographer, it's important that you feel that you can do that, and that you can feel that actually it's not just because you want to try something new, it's because you want to try something new with the view of learning the skills, with the view of getting, again, these added layers of experience and knowledge for you as a photographer, for you as a videographer, for you as somebody that is interested in the creative process, not to let imposter syndrome really stop you from growing. So those were kind of the things that I thought were really kind of pertinent for photographers at the moment. And it's certainly something that's been on my mind when I'm seeing kind of all of this creative stuff on photography show for the last two days, and then thinking about the photography show maybe later in the year or next year, where people need to feel like they're able to ask a question, raise their hand, ask to try that kit, be a speaker, go forward and speak to one of the people at the super stage. Your questions are as valid as anyone else, because if you're thinking it, I can guarantee that lots of other people are thinking it too. So I think they're the bits that I wanted to discuss in terms of from a photographer's perspective, and certainly that idea of tooling up and giving yourself the permission to say, I'm going to try new stuff. I want to grow my business. I want to be confident in front of customers and clients. I want to be able to ask for the business. And I want to move out of this feeling, that this belief that I do deserve it. I am worthy of it. I have got the skills, and to keep reminding you. So they're the things that we've talked about how, what it is, and kind of how to recognize it. I'm conscious of some questions coming in, so excuse me if my eyes divert to the other side of the screen, but I will come onto those in a bit. So how to overcome it, basically. Well, I think that the fact that I admitted to having imposter syndrome this morning can give you, and I'm a confidence coach, I hope that that gives you the confidence to know that this is something that affects everyone, and it affects us at different times, and it's certainly something that is learning to manage it rather than saying I overcame it. Because as with confidence is a muscle. You've got to keep training. You've got to keep pulling all of those energies back. You've got to keep reassessing. And imposter syndrome is very much the same. It's seeing it, recognizing it, and also kind of working with it and making sure that it doesn't stop you from moving forward. So one of the most important things I have experienced, and I believe in, is that when you feel it, you share it. You share it with a group of close, of people that you trust. So I know who my circle of confidence is, that I can just go, oh my gosh, I'm feeling this, and they will go, yeah, okay. Because then I trust them that they will give me the ability to speak, they will listen, and then we will be able to share ideas, and we will share experiences. Because as I said earlier, this is not something that that is unique to one person. It's about sharing those experiences with close people that you trust. And actually then when you feel that you're able to share that experience with someone else in a positive way, then you can share that, obviously. But it's making sure that you're always really aware of your narrative. So what I mean by that is be aware of what you're saying to yourself on a daily basis. And that's not like thinking, oh my gosh, what is my inner voice saying to me today? It's about when things creep up, and they can creep up in softly, or they can come around and slap you straight in the face first thing in a Monday morning, where you're feeling anxious, or you're feeling slightly overwhelmed. So be aware of your inner narrative to make sure that you are giving yourself the very, very best start to a day, the very, very best story that you can tell yourself of how you're going to overcome it. So share. My first big tip is to share and to talk about it with a trusted group. I know that I did a talk, obviously I know, that I did a talk with She Clicks probably about a year ago, when we were talking about imposter syndrome. And we kind of thought we needed to be able to talk about it as a collective, so that people felt that they weren't on their own. But then it gave them the opportunity to actually say, yeah, I need to talk to my best friend, my partner, whatever it is. When you share, you will be so amazed, and your shoulders will just drop down 3 inches from relief that other people are feeling it too. And you can then, then it's as with everything, when you share an experience and a shared experience, you find the right fit for you, you find the right solution for you. What's going to work for you is working through that with really trusted, a trusted confidence of group, a group of people. Talking about it is incredibly liberating. Next step is collecting the evidence. And this sounds like CSI, but what I mean is that when you do a good job, when you do a great shoot, when you do something that you're really proud of, and it's you, this is not judged by anybody else, this is your work, write it down. Write it down and make sure you annotate it. Why it was good, why it felt good, why that this was this a good moment for you. And the more that you can write down, and it does take time and it does take a bit of practice, because it'll feel, and like anything new, the minute you start it, it feels a bit alien. It's like writing a diary for the first time. Dear diary, today was a great day. But write down the evidence, and that can be training courses, that can be shoots, that can be what you tried and maybe it didn't work out, and these are the reasons why it didn't work out. But it's like a lookbook, a photographer's lookbook, and it's evidence. This isn't just based on what somebody felt like. This is the evidence of you doing a good job. It could be an invoice. It could be somebody that you never thought that you would work with, and you've worked with them and they sent you a little note. It's a post-it note. And there are evidence, it comes in very, very many different ways. And it can be, like I said, a post-it note, a photograph, a moment in time. But please make sure that you collect this evidence, so that when you are feeling like you're at a bit of an ebb of the imposter syndrome and you feel that it's coming at you, say, okay, this is what I need to do. I'm going to go back into my book and I'm just going to look at the evidence, prove to myself that this is actual fact. This isn't hearsay. This isn't just, somebody with a thumbs up on social media. This is actual fact. Really, really important. The other thing is feedback. Now, can be, again, it depends on who's doing or giving the feedback, because good managers or good not influencers, but good kind of mentors will be very conscious of how they give feedback and what that feedback looks like. And I think it's also important for you to recognize what does my feedback, what do I want this feedback to do for me? Is it that I want it to be part of the evidence? Is it to make me feel good right now because it's kind of a drink in a bar after a shoot and you feel, you're totally buzzing? Is it that you want to actually take that feedback to help you move on to the next stage of your personal growth or your growth as a photographer and a skill set? So I believe that good feedback is invaluable, but also be aware of who you get the feedback from and what you want that to do. That's really important as well. Above all things, it's about the doing. It's just about doing. The more that we sit here and kind of worry that am I good enough? How did I get that gig? That was surely just down to being mates with someone. Or how did I possibly get this position? Oh my goodness, I'm going to be found out. How on earth am I supposed to do a shoot when I don't, I've only been photographing for 10 years and I'm not part of an association, or I'm not part of a photography club. How can I possibly call myself a photographer? There are a million and one different variables about how the imposter syndrome will manifest itself. The best way to combat all of that is in the doing. It's the get up, it's the going out, it's the doing, it's the shooting, it's the trying, because this inner voice can take you on all sorts of different journeys. But when you are actually in the moment as a photographer as well, there is no right and wrong. You either love what you've taken and you want to, share that, or you want to grow. So be very, very aware of the more you do, the more skills you will get, the more feedback that you will get, the more evidence you will get, and the more you will become a physical a physical way of overcoming imposter syndrome. And it's really important. It's like anything with procrastination or confidence, it's just getting out there and doing it. And the more you do it, the more you'll prove to yourself that you're able to take that imposter syndrome and kind of put a lid on it, and then sit on that lid, and then just wait and see what happens a bit more. It's really, really important, the doing. So just to recap about that, recognize it, see it what it is, share to close, trusted group of your friends, and shared experience. And I will guarantee that your shoulders will just go, oh, great, thank goodness, it's not just me. And they will go, oh, it's not just me. And before you know it, everybody's just saying, it's not just me. Let's create a plan. Let's move forward. Collect the evidence, really important, whatever way that looks. For me, I've got various bits of things on my fridge, and it's just there. Or I have a folder in my iPhone of images that are screen grabbed, and there's a bit of a journal going on. I have 2 small children. I run business. I had all this stuff going on. However it happens to be and whatever it looks like, I'm going to do it to keep that evidence file there for me, for when I have those moments of imposter syndrome. And then the feedback, but all coming down to this, just do. Really, really important. And kind of the last thing before I come on to the questions is really, it's not always bad. We kind of pigeonhole imposter syndrome as kind of a bad thing. Sometimes it's good to just recognize it as a need for training, or a need for something that you want to learn and you want to kind of stretch and you grow. So if it's not always this kind of imposter syndrome is rubbish and we must all kind of overcome it. It's look at it and see what if it's trying to kind of show you, do you know what, I might want to learn about that. Do it, try it, see. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Nobody is going to be stood over your shoulder going, well, I told you it wouldn't happen. Told you it wasn't going to work. No, you are in control of that narrative. So be aware of kind of what that all looks like, and don't see it necessarily as such a bad thing. Recognize it, but don't, whatever happens, let that overwhelm you. Move forward. The photography show is a phenomenal springboard for just re-energizing the whole industry and going, do you know what? This is great. We're coming out into a whole new year. This is the time for us to start growing and to really support each other and help each other. So let's have a look at the quick questions. So I'm not a great fast reader and multi-screener. So let's have a go. Do you think imposter syndrome is something you ever fully get over, or do you think it's just a question of finding the right ways to cope? Ruth Falkland, question number 1 is awesome. Thank you so much. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to read your name, so apologies. But anyway, this question is very important, and it's something that I hope I kind of addressed on earlier. I don't think it's something that you ever totally overcome. It's something that you learn to manage, and it's something that you learn to see when it manifests itself, and then you apply the techniques to kind of overcome those and work out what the best strategy is for you to overcome the imposter syndrome. But it's a great question. I don't think it's ever something that you just go, yeah, done that, worked it out, sorted, move on. There will always be times that come along that make you feel wobbly. For example, my 20 minutes on the stairs this morning trying to work out how to do a reel, because I felt like everybody else was doing it and I was going to get busted because I was the imposter. Exhibit A. Next question. How do you pick yourself up at times when confidence is low? Is it best to power through or take a break? Good question. So with confidence, it is, to me, a muscle, and you've got to keep trying now, and you've got to keep training, and you've got to keep revisiting it. There's a difference between when you're feeling low and feeling not able to actually just go, I can't go onto a TED talk right now. I can't think about, there's just too many things going on in your head. I think what must be really important, and I really want to emphasize this, is that the world is coming out of or through a global pandemic. So everyone feels like their confidence has been bashed around, and it's sometimes hard when there are all these, these incredible circumstances that nobody's ever thought we'd ever have to kind of manage and navigate through. And that can have an impact on confidence. So I think there are times when you feel that you must just take a break, but it's about hitting pause, not hitting stop. So the more you do, the more you just go, do you know what, I'm just going to try. And I don't have to be loud about it, and it doesn't have to be big, and it doesn't have to be, it doesn't, what I'm trying to say is, don't let it overwhelm you. Just see it for what it is. It could be a bad day. It doesn't mean that your confidence is gone. It just means that you just feel a bit low and a bit wanting to be more confident. Take a pause. Don't stop. Keep doing. Next one. Okay, I always think I will be embarrassing in front of the camera. Hello, me. Fear of recognition and getting exposed. My image will be everywhere, and I'm not as good as I thought I could be. Is this imposter syndrome? I always think I would be embarrassing. I always think I would be embarrassing in front of the camera. That is, yes, that is a bit of imposter syndrome, because you're like, am I worthy to be in front of the camera? Am I worthy to be seen? Who am I? Who am I to be this person? Well, you're you, and you deserve to be wherever you want to be. That is something that you can do, and you can do whatever it is that you want to do. That's really, really important. And it is about that, I think, is moving out of your comfort zone. It's about, am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to fail? Is this going to be a success? Am I going to be recognized for this? And to me, that is much more about just stepping into the unknown. And I would say to you is do everything that scares you, but you don't have to. It doesn't have to be, again, it doesn't have to be massive. It doesn't have to be loud. If there is something that you want to do, find a way to do it. Just do it, and find other people that you can say, do you fancy doing this? Or we could be part of a group and we can move this forward. Really important that it's in the doing. Okay. Yeah, love this. Thank you for the talk. You're so very welcome. I think we all need to hear it, especially these days. I've been referring to myself as a lapsed photographer lately. Yeah, looking forward to diving back into photoshops when the world is normal again. Yes, let's have a bit of that, please. Definitely. I mean, don't ignore the fact that the last 12 months has been, unprecedented. It's okay to press pause. Just keep taking the great photos, keep taking images, keep pushing yourself, keep doing anything that you think gives you joy. And, if that's photography, videography, whatever it is, create your story, but don't stop, do. I've got 1 minute and 6 seconds left. Hold on, excuse me. I think I need to scroll that down. As someone who does photography as a hobby, this is my issue. Trying to find ways to getting feedback and positive comment is hard. Trying to find ways to seize the moment. Commenting on this, yay! Well, yay you for commenting on this, because you could have just sat there. You could have just gone, well, this is a nice way to spend few minutes on a Sunday afternoon, but I appreciate you commenting. That means the world to me. So don't forget the impact that you have on other people too. You could be you could be the instigator to somebody going, I am going to try that photography. I am going to do that talk. I am going to raise my hand. I am going to be confident in front of a client. I am going to look at my website. I am, I can, I will, and just do. I think I've got 5 seconds left. Have I ceased? Thank you ever so much. I'm sorry, the last I thought the plug was about to be pulled, but thank you so much for this talk today. I totally grateful, and I hope that it has helped people overcome and work towards overcoming imposter syndrome and managing that and going into 2021 with bags of confidence.